Genesis 35. Jacob returns to Bethel. God said to Jacob, "Go up to Bethel and settle there, and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you, and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me wherever I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Then they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them, so that no one pursued them. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. There he built an altar, and he called the place El Bethel, because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside Bethel. So it was named Allon Bacuth. After Jacob returned from Paddan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel." So he named him Israel. And God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number. A nation and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Jacob called the place where God had talked with him Bethel. The deaths of Rachel and Isaac. Then they moved on from Bethel. While they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, "Don't despair, for you have another son." As she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, but his father named him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is, Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah, Reuben the firstborn of Jacob, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's servant Bilhah, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant Zilpah, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob, who were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre, near Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived 180 years. Then he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Genesis 36. Esau's descendants. This is the account of the family line of Esau, that is, Edom. Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan. Adah, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibamah, daughter of Anah and granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite, also Basemath, daughter of Ishmael, and sister of Nebaioth. Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau, who were born to him in Canaan. Esau took his wives, sons, daughters, and all the members of his household, as well as his livestock and all his other animals, and all the goods he had acquired in Canaan, and moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob. Their possessions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. So Esau, that is Edom, settled in the hill country of Seir. This is the account of the family line of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir, sons of Zibeon, Oiah and Anah. This is the Anah who discovered the hot springs in the desert while grazing his father Zibeon's donkeys. Children of Anah, Dishon and Oholibamah, daughter of Anah. Sons of Dishon, Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Keran. Sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zavan, and Akan. Sons of Dishan, Uz and Aran. These were the Horite chiefs among the descendants of Seir in Edom, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan, the rulers of Edom. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. 1. Bela son of Beor, city Dinhabah. 2. Jobab son of Zerah from Bozrah. 3. Husham from the land of the Temanites. 4. Hadad son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, city Avith. 5. Samlah from Masrekah. 6. Shaul from Rehoboth on the river. 7. Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor. 8. Hadad, city, Pau, wife, Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, daughter of Mezahab, chiefs of Edom. The chiefs descended from Esau by name according to their clans and regions included Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Oholibamah, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. These were the chiefs of Edom according to their settlements in the land they occupied. This is the family line of Esau, the father of the Edomites. Sons of Esau, Eliphaz, son of Esau's wife Adah, and Reuel, son of Esau's wife Basemath. Sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Eliphaz had a concubine named Timnah, who bore him Amalek. Sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. Sons of Oholibamah, daughter of Anah, granddaughter of Zibeon, Jush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the chiefs among Esau's descendants. Chiefs descended from Eliphaz, Esau's firstborn, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. Chiefs descended from Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. Chiefs descended from Oholibamah, Jush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau, also known as Edom, and these were their chiefs. The descendants of Seir the Horite, sons of Seir the Horite, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. Sons of Lotan, Hori and Homam. Timnah was Lotan's sister. Sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. Genesis 37. Joseph's dreams. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them." "Very well," he replied. So he said to him, "Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me." Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, "What are you looking for?" He replied, "I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks?" "They have moved on from here," the man answered. "I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. "Let's not take his life," he said. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him into this cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Genesis 38. Judah and Tamar. At that time Judah left his brothers and went to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He married her, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, whom they named She conceived again and gave birth to Onan. Later she gave birth to another son named Shelah, and it was at Kezib that she gave birth to him. Judah got a wife named Tamar for his firstborn. But was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, "Fulfill your duty to your brother's wife and raise up offspring for your brother." However, Onan knew the child would not be his, so he spilled his semen on the ground to avoid providing offspring for his brother. This action was wicked in the Lord's sight, and the Lord put him to death as well. Judah then told Tamar, "Live as a widow in your father's household until my son Shelah grows up." He feared Shelah might also die like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's household. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah with his friend Hirah the Adullamite to shear his sheep. Tamar was informed of Judah's journey, and she saw that Shelah had grown up, but she had not been given to him as his wife. She disguised herself with a veil and sat at the entrance to Enaim on the road to Timnah. Judah saw her and mistook her for a prostitute because she had covered her face. Unaware she was his daughter-in-law, he approached her and proposed to sleep with her. Tamar asked what he would give her in return, and Judah promised a young goat from his flock. She requested a pledge until the goat was sent, asking for his seal, cord, and staff. He complied, and she became pregnant by him. She then left, removed her veil, and put on her widow's clothes again. Judah sent the goat with his friend to retrieve his pledge, but she could not be found. When the friend inquired about her, the locals stated there was no shrine prostitute there. Judah decided to let her keep what she had to avoid public shame since the goat was sent but not received. About 3 months later, Judah was informed Tamar was guilty of prostitution and pregnant as a result. Judah demanded she be brought out and burned to death. As she was being brought out, she sent Judah the message that she was pregnant by the man who owned certain items. She asked him to recognize the seal, cord, and staff. Judah acknowledged them and admitted she was more righteous than he because he did not give her to Shelah. He did not sleep with her again. When Tamar gave birth, she had twin boys. During birth, one child put out his hand, and the midwife tied a scarlet thread on it, saying that he came out first. However, he withdrew his hand, and his brother came out first. He was named Perez. The brother with the scarlet thread on his wrist followed, and he was named Zerah. Genesis 39. Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, where Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials and the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites. The Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered in the house of his Egyptian master. Recognizing the Lord's favor upon Joseph and his success in all he did, Potiphar made Joseph his attendant and put him in charge of his household, entrusting everything he owned to his care. From that time the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph, and the blessing extended to both house and field. Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care, concerning himself only with the food he ate. Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of him and said, "Come to bed with me." He refused, respecting his master's trust and acknowledging that such an act would be a sin against God. Although she persistently tried to seduce him day after day, Joseph refused to be with her. One day, Joseph entered the house to attend to his duties when no other servants were inside. Potiphar's wife caught him by his cloak, demanding he sleep with her. Leaving his cloak in her hand, Joseph fled the house. Seeing Joseph's cloak left behind, she called the household servants and accused Joseph of trying to sleep with her, claiming she screamed to scare him away. She retained his cloak until Potiphar returned, repeating her fabricated story to him, which made Potiphar furious. As a result, Joseph's master imprisoned him where the king's prisoners were confined. However, the Lord was still with Joseph, showing him kindness and granting him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. The warden placed Joseph in charge of all prisoners and made him responsible for all activities within the prison. Because the Lord was with Joseph, the warden trusted him completely and did not concern himself with anything under Joseph's care, allowing him to succeed in all he did.